Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Now look, a lot of people out here talking about planting Benavidez actually annoying me. You get one bozo out here who's a content creator. He has never boxed in his life. He has no clue about boxing. For some reason, he feels the need to come out here and talk about planting Benavidez and boil this fight down to a brawler versus a boxer, when we know there's so much more to David Benavidez than being just a brawler, and there's so much more to Caleb Plant to just someone being a boxer. These guys do so much more in the ring than just Plant running around trying to box. Plant will hold his ground if he has to. Plant has worked on his power. There's so much more to Caleb Plant. He's more of a boxer puncher, but he's definitely not a pressure style fighter. Now, when I think about Benavidez, that's exactly how I would describe Benavidez. More of a pressure style of fighter, but not a brawler. To me, when I think brawler, I think of a PREVAIL, someone who's not moving the head, someone who's not catching the opponent's punches and looking to counter. All right, someone who's not looking to, when they get in close to do work, then step around using angles and everything else. There's an intelligence. There's a strategy when it comes to David Benavidez and his game plan. So for these cockaholes who don't have the trained eye to see the things that he's doing in the ring, they just see somebody coming forward and they just say, oh, he's a brawler. There's so much more to Benavidez than that. And with Caleb Plant, they just see someone out here who's using the ring, lateral movement, pick and choosing the right spots to get his shots off, who has learned to read when someone's about to pressure him, when someone's setting traps. That's intelligent. That's more than just being a boxer. Caleb Plant's a boxer puncher. He's an intelligent thinker. Same thing for Benavidez. He can read what his opponents are doing, when they're going to move, when they're going to stop. He has good anticipation. He has good timing. Let me tell you something. We can't just boil these guys down to a simple boxer versus a brawler. All right. But that being said, there's a few questions going into the fight that I have, definitely. And it kind of lines up with what Michael Rosenthal published in an article on March 21st. So let's just go ahead and jump into this, right? David Benavidez is scheduled to take on rival Caleb Plant in an important 168-pound, make sure nothing playing in the damn background, showdown, which is going to be this Saturday. And I'm telling you right now, there's 5 questions. There could be more. I've been talking about these guys for so long, especially about their about Conti and Heredia being in their corners. But there really are 5 questions, and there's some answers, right, going into this highly anticipated pay-per-view bout. So the first question is, what makes this matchup compelling? Now, if you listen to most people talk about it, you know, they're just going to say like what I just discussed about. You got the pressure style fighter who's very intelligent, who's young, who's hungry and aggressive, against the intelligent thinker, mover, boxer, puncher, Caleb Plant. And it's just a matter of seeing who's going to be able to impose their style, who's going to have the stamina, who's going to be able to show a strong beard. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is a matchup of 2 elite fighters in their primes, which, you know, it just doesn't happen often enough in boxing these days. It's an interesting style matchup, kind of like Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, where you're seeing guys in their prime get in the ring. This is what boxing needs. But as far as the styles, you know, you got a hard punching stalker who makes very good reads on his opponent versus an athletic boxer who has some serious pop. The stakes are high, man. The winner will be at the front of the line to challenge undisputed champion Alvarez, who some say Alvarez has a foot. He has 1 foot in golf and the other and the other foot in the local bar. But nonetheless, maybe after Alvarez fights Bivol again, since we know those are Alvarez's plans, maybe there's a chance the winner of this fight could get Alvarez. But if not, it'll probably be Jamal Charlo. there waiting to get a crack at one of them. But we know for Canelo Alvarez, he wants to get back at Bivol, and they'll probably be trying to do it in the fall. The loser is definitely going to have to rebuild, particularly if the result is conclusive, meaning somebody gets clipped or gets totally washed in a boxing match. Now, that can be a long, difficult process, which is what sucks about boxing. You're at the top today, you take a loss, you're at the back of the line. The big entourage goes out the window. All the money goes out the window. The private jets go out the window. Everybody rooting you on, giving you an attaboy, patting you on the back. All that goes out the window. The last thing boxing fans remember about their boxers is their last fight. So that can be a long, difficult process. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, between these two, there seems to be genuine tension. And I'm going to tell you that, to me, has injected extra energy into an already compelling promotion. Now, I do believe that this is the best possible fight that could be made at 168 that doesn't include Canelo Alvarez. Now, Benavidez, the Mexican monster, at the end of the day, I like David Benavidez. I think he's just been absorbed into his family's drama with the way they like to talk, conduct themselves, the things that they've said and the things they like to say about Caleb Plant, especially the whole thing about just commenting on his daughter passing and the fact what the child's mother had to say about Caleb Plant. To me, that crossed some lines there. But at the end of the day, you could tell David Benavidez, outside of his brother and his father, you could tell he's the youngest because he seems to be real humble, real decent, probably grew up really close to the mom. He was a kid, fat, obese. Nobody expected him to do much with himself, especially in the boxing ring. And look at the type of discipline and dedication he's given to the sport, and look at where he is now. But is Benavidez as good as he seems to be? I guess we're going to see, right? Because Benavidez, the whole seek and destroy style has lain waste to the vast majority of his opponents, and including getting KOs in his last 6 fights. So he appears to be a genuine threat to anyone. That includes Alvarez. If you listen to Mike Tyson, he favors Benavidez over anyone who gets in the ring with him. Simple. But he does pass the eye test. But he hasn't faced the level of opposition necessary to prove beyond doubt that he's among the best fighter of his era. His most meaningful victory, with Durrell? That's the same guy who I would say was the most meaningful victory for Caleb Plant. But in 9 rounds, he just looked like he was just getting beat down. Durrell just getting beat down. They stopped the fight. It wasn't necessarily a one-punch KO. It was just an accumulation of punishment. But you look at Durrell was able to string up, a solid list of, opponents that he was able to get through, and eventually got him a fight with Caleb Plant. But you can't argue that Caleb Plant is probably the best fighter that Benavidez has ever faced. Now, I'm not trying to convince anyone that Plant's going to defeat Benavidez. What I want to say is we're going to find out if Benavidez is the real deal come Saturday, because Caleb Plant has definitely proven to be a special fighter. Now, could Plant do to Benavidez what he did to Anthony Durrell? I'm telling y'all right now, I need to watch the All Access again. I think Plant is left-handed. I really do. But can he do to Benavidez what he did to Durrell? Sometimes when you land a shot like that, that's a once-in-a-lifetime shot. You may never get that shot again. The stars just lined up for Caleb Plant on that night. They've trained to throw that shot. That doesn't mean they're looking to get that shot off when they get in the ring. But that is something that they've practiced. And that's why it came so effortlessly when he threw that shot against Durrell. But as far as Plant doing to Benavidez what he did to Burrell, maybe not. Plant only had, 3 stoppages in his previous 10 fights. But he showed against Durrell that, look, in an instant, he can send any opponent into unconsciousness. That left hook, that's why I say he must be left-handed. But that kind of punch, when you get hit with the punch you don't see, by someone who's got some pop, they can get you out of there. But at the same time, Benavidez, the Mexican monster, is not Anthony Durrell. Matter of fact, Durrell had a lot of miles on that odometer when he was stopped by Benavidez 3 fights earlier. So you can say, as far as Durrell getting in the ring with Plant, what Plant was able to do, you can say that was probably coming anyway for a guy like Durrell if he got into with somebody with enough pop to hurt him. But at the end of the day, Benavidez is big, strong, fresh. I don't even think he's 30. He's like 25, 26. And any opponent that's come his way, he's handled them. So it's kind of difficult to imagine what some people would still call Caleb Plant an average puncher to be able to knock out Benavidez. But I'm going to tell you right now, the real question here is, who's going to put together the best fruit cocktail, Heredia or Conti? And when I say fruit cocktail, that doesn't mean there can be any illegal substances in there. I just mean with the supplementation strategy and what they're going to be giving these fighters to help achieve maximum stamina, maximum endurance, maximum flexibility, maximum speed, maximum punch resistance, maximum punching power. You know, whoever puts together the best one, the best strength and conditioning plan, the best game plan, the best strategy, I think that's who's going to win. But what I'm telling you is, I think we're going to see things that are going to blow our mind when it comes to these two that we've never seen them do before. And yes, I am attributing that to Heredia and Conti. Now, again, I'm not saying that I believe there's going to be any foul play. But all I'm saying is, when you got these guys with Victor Conti and Heredia in the corner, their fighters tend to look super special. All right? Now, will this fight look like Plant versus Canelo Alvarez? That's the next question, right? Because Alvarez kind of has a similar style to Benavidez. Nobody's going to consider Alvarez a brawler. So if you're not going to consider Canelo Alvarez a brawler, don't consider Benavidez a brawler. Like that bozo who doesn't know anything about boxing. Now, Plant, he's a slick boxer puncher. We know that when you fight someone like him, he's going to give Benavidez problems. The stick and move tactics early in the fight. And he'll take, more and more punches as the fight progresses, because he can see with the Durrell fight, if someone makes it ugly and physical, that could get Plant off of his game plan a little bit. But he did get a bit worn down and struggle when he lost to Alvarez. But I just think he's learned from that. Okay. But, most would agree that Benavidez can't box as well as Alvarez. But he throws more shots than Canelo. And as far as accuracy, Benavidez happens to be more accurate when you take a look at CompuBox. Now, that could compensate for any deficiencies in his technical skills, and that's when you're comparing Benavidez to Canelo. Now, I don't know there are many deficiencies there for a guy like Benavidez, but maybe a lack of experience in big fights could be something. This is huge. Those lights are real, and we see some guys, man, they rise to the occasion, or they don't. But I think this is going to end up where either Plant is able to really box him, catch him, frustrate him, and then maybe even knock him out at some point before the 10th round. Or it's just going to be one of those things where Benavidez is just going to break down and maybe stop Plant maybe during the 10th, 11th, or 12th round. But It really boils down to me to stamina. Who's going to have the best stamina? Just like when we saw Rashidi Ellis against Roman Villa, the boxer versus, kind of like the pressure fighter. You know what I'm saying? And stamina really came into play in that fight. So that's what I would compare this to more than Canelo Alvarez against Caleb Plant, or saying it's a boxer versus brawler. This could really boil down to stamina. But nonetheless, can the winner beat Canelo Alvarez? I think it depends. Again, I think Alvarez is kind of on his way out. But hey, he's pound for pound, man. And what he did to Plant, I don't think there was anyone out here saying that it was a controversial stoppage. No, he stopped him. It was pretty conclusive. But at the end of the day, there was no doubt about who's a better fighter. Plant could win a rematch right now, though. Again, Alvarez seems to be on the decline. He's been injured, been fighting as a pro since he's been 15. There's a lot of sparring, a lot of professional fights, a lot of training camps. But Alvarez returns to fight in Mexico on May 6th against John Ryder, and then looks for a rematch with Bivol. We'll see. But I'll tell you what, as far as Benavidez versus Alvarez, much bigger, probably has more firepower in his prime. I just think it would be a fascinating fight, Benavidez and Alvarez. I think, and to be quite frank, I'd rather see Benavidez versus Alvarez than Plant versus Alvarez again. I just think the more exciting fight would be David Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez. That being said, looking forward to this fight, seeing these guys get it on. It's going to be very interesting. But if you ask me, who do I got winning? It really is a toss-up, but I think Plant may shock everybody. Something about his boxing ability, his IQ, pinpoint accuracy, speed, the things they've been working on, the fact that he's able to work on making those reads now and seeing when he has an opponent in a vulnerable space, the things the opponent's doing wrong. Caleb Plant studies all of his training, all of his fights. He has a new trainer in his corner who is working with J-Rock. And this trainer is really improving and evolving a guy like Caleb Plant's style. He hasn't tried to change who he was, just making him better. And I really think that could show up in the fight. But if he has a lapse of judgment, especially, and I keep talking about it, I know people are probably like, damn, Hood Champion lost his mind with this whole thing about Heredia and Conti, but I really believe that's what it boils down to, man. We just got to see who's going to be able to take the shots and who's going to be able to get their shots off and who's going to still be able to keep moving and punching and have stamina after like round 8. Because I think this is going to be a high energy fight. But if someone gets tired, they're going to be in trouble. And that's what I'm going to say. The person who doesn't get tired is the one who wins. But if you ask me, it's a toss-up. If I got to pick, I'm going to roll with Plant just because I don't like the fact that Benavidez' dad said something about Caleb Plant and how he felt with him not knowing anything at all, how he felt Caleb Plant, based on what the child's mother said, wasn't there for his daughter and all that. I just think he crossed the line. So I'm rooting for Caleb Plant. That being said, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.